Okay, John, I got a question for you. How much money does it take, or how much of a down payment does it take to buy a house? And specifically, today we're going to talk about FHA uh, mortgages, mortgage loans, which is oftentimes associated with first-time buyers. Is that right?
Absolutely, first-time buyers, a little less on the credit score requirements up front, and then a little less money down to get into the home as well.
Okay, but I think it's important to clarify that FHA is not only for first-time buyers.
No, it's a very popular loan, one of the most popular loans out there for putting a little amount of money down versus some of the other programs. And like I said, some of the guidelines and credit score obviously is a little more lenient to get into approval on.
Perfect. Okay, so right now this is the end of 2014. What is the current minimum credit score that you guys are offering for FHA?
We do at Movement Mortgage, we go to a 580 and up. So anything 580 and up on the FHA loans, we can definitely get something done.
Okay, perfect. And then when we talk about cash out of pocket, because that's what so many people tell me, oh, it takes 20% cash to buy a house. 20%, 20%. Well, on a $200,000 home, 20% is 40,000 grand or $40,000 sitting in your bank account, which not everybody just has lying around. And so, what is 3.5% down payment with FHA on a $200,000 house?
Yeah, on a 200,000 it'd be 7,000. If you're putting 3.5% down on a $200,000 house, $7,000.
So you don't need $40,000 to buy a house.
No, you don't.
Okay, so there's certainly advantages and then also disadvantages. Clearly, the more money you have as a down payment is going to be more advantageous for the total loan package and parameters. But if you really want to get into a home, you want to buy a home, if you're excited, if you find the one that you love, and you know your future looks bright, FHA is a great vehicle to get started, right, John?
Absolutely, and as long as you don't have a current FHA loan already, then you can use an FHA loan. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. If you don't currently, like I said, have an FHA loan now, you can always go FHA.
Okay, perfect. And if I've had one in the past, that still doesn't matter. I can, as long as that home is sold and closed, FHA loan, then I can get a new FHA loan.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then let's talk about closing costs and prepaids real quick.
Mhm.
That's associated with the transaction of closing the home and also paying taxes and title fees and appraisals. So you have your down payment, which you said of $7,000, and
Correct.
then there's the closing costs slash prepaids that will bundle together. Within just a couple quick, simple sentences, how would you explain those, and what type of spread could those range?
I would say first off, the spread. I mean, could be anywhere from 2 to 5, 2 to 5,000, depending on the size of the house, the area the house is in, the time of year that you're buying the house. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Who the title company is. There's a lot of things that could change from here to there. A lot of it's, in most cases, when you're buying a house, you have to collect a full year of insurance. That would be considered one of the prepaid items, depending on what time of the year you're purchasing. When taxes are due. That would play a big part of what's being collected. Daily interest changes on every loan depending on what time of the month you're getting into. So there's a lot of things that can change, but I would say a very average, from 2 to 5,000 would be your portion on the buying side, plus your down payment, and then the only other cost really up front should be normally just the appraisal, and then if you want to have a survey or something like that done, it's usually handled on the seller side. So just appraisal, prepaids, and your down payment.
Okay, so what I heard out of that is a range of 2 to 5,000
Yes.
for closing costs for prepaids, and I think it's important to realize that this is going to be very, very similar with every buyer associated with the same price point and in any home, any location. So closing costs and prepaids is not really something that changes per deal. It just changes based on the time of year that you close and obviously the price of the house. Does that sound right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then finally, to get started, the initial money up front that it takes to buy a house would be a deposit. A deposit is also called a good faith binder, and so this is to seal the deal, to seal the actual contract, which means a contract is whenever two parties sign on a document and money is exchanged. So a lot of times A deposit is about 2% of your purchase price. And so if you're buying a $200,000 home, then 2% would be about $4,000 deposit. That's a good faith binder. And then you mentioned something about an appraisal fee. Would that be collected near the beginning of the transaction, John?
Yeah, normally once credit is pulled, and normally it happens. In my case, I already have everybody in most cases fully qualified through underwriting. As soon as the contract is sent to me from the realtor, is normally once the appraisal it gets ordered.
Okay.
Unless they want to have an inspection done on the house first, a home inspection, then sometimes we'll wait to order the appraisal until the home inspection comes back. If the home inspection comes back, not too good, or they end up, deciding to back out of that house, we don't want them to spend money on an appraisal up front. So I'd rather, prevent that from happening. So a lot of times it's on them. If they want an inspection done, they can do that. If not, appraisal orders once we get the contract.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to summarize. You find the home that you love, you write a contract, and you put a deposit on it. So let's just call that deposit $4,000. It's important to understand that the $4,000 is directed to your down payment. So your down payment that FHA requires, which we said is 3.5%, John gave us a number of $7,000. That $4,000 is included in the $7,000. So that's a beautiful thing. And then you'll order an inspection to be sure that your home is nice and tight and there's no issues. An inspection costs about $300 to $400 based on the size of the home. And then if everything works out, you're going to order your appraisal. Ballpark appraisal, John?
Anywhere from 450 to 475 on FHA appraisals.
Okay, under $500, and then it's time to close on the home, and then you put in your down payment, which is the remaining of the $7,000, and then you pay for your closing costs and prepay, which is a range, totally can range from $2,000 to $5,000. So for a $200,000 home, and I'm shooting from the hip, and the only reason I can say this is because I got John on the line with me, is you can buy a $200,000 home total cash out of pocket for under 15 grand on the high end. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely.
And if you really get it good, you can maybe get it around $10,000 cash out of pocket, shooting from the hip.
Absolutely.
But that's even more important to pick up the phone, call John. He can give you a very, very close estimate that is specific to your situation. So I'm going to put John's details below. He's with Movement Mortgage here in Jacksonville. So we just wanted to bring you guys the relevant value. Let us know your comments, your feedbacks, any questions, any topics you want us to cover. And we're going to be going over the other loan programs based on how much money it takes to buy a home. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.